What is up, you guys? This is going to be another unedited, unscripted video. So, as per usual with these, feel free to listen to this like it's a podcast. Just leave it in your pocket, leave it on your desk, and let me collect that sweet ad revenue as you listen to it. But seriously, though, the one thing that came to mind for me today is the concept of not wasting your teens. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm 19 now. And one of the biggest things that I end up thinking about every single day, like I catch myself thinking about, when I'm having like wandering thoughts, is like, how could I have done this differently? What if I had done this in high school? What if I chose to do this differently? What if I chose to play football? What if I took baseball more seriously? What if I, actually approached girls that I liked? What if I actually, turn off my video game console for a little? And these questions always creep up on me, and I want to talk about them in today's video. I'm already considering making a full-fledged edited video about how to not waste your teens, but I do want to get this off my chest for a little bit. Throughout high school, I would always end up hearing teachers saying, as you become older, the years go by faster and faster, so you don't want to waste it while you're here. And I thought that was just like hearsay about it's just regular stuff that grown-ups say. It's like, oh, what I would do to be 21 again, what I do to be in high school again. You're so lucky that you're in your shoes. I heard it all the time, and quite frankly, I had enough of it. Here comes these grown-ups that make all this money telling me how happy I should be, right? I guess the first place that I should start is around ninth grade. Around ninth grade, I pretty much had the same friends that I had. I pretty much had the same friends that I had way back in middle school. For those of you who don't know, there's a YouTube channel called Coast. I'll probably link it in the description if I remember to at the end of this video. But Coast, his name is Carlos, and he's been probably one of the first friends I made when I moved out to this neighborhood of Queens. And that friend group that I had with Carlos and my other friends, Adama, I'll also link his channel, or so whatever friends I mention, I'll link their socials, right? I had that same friend group throughout the entirety of high school. And along the way, I made a few new friends. I made a few new connections, some guys I played baseball with, some guys that I met in my classes, and things along those lines. But I never went out of my way to do it. I hardly went out of my way ever to find people that I wanted to become friends with. It was always the matter of, chance that I would end up becoming friends with people. And I think that was a big mistake. Sure, you can say that, nobody's really your friend after high school. But I feel like there's a lot of connections that you can make that if you at least give the effort to try and make a connection with someone else, you could hit it off. You could end up building a relationship, guy or girl, that changes your life. One of my closest friends, Chris, did not go to middle school with me. And had he not been in all of the same classes as me, I likely never would have met him or taken seriously the idea of becoming friends with him. My life would be completely different. My gym journey this year would be completely different without a guy like Chris. So this is why I implore you that if you're in high school or in middle school, you're a teenager, do not miss out on finding the potential Carlos or Chris of your life that you could meet. Because although you get 4 years in high school to meet people like this, I should end up calling this video "How to Not Mess Up High School." Maybe I'll call it that. although you have a full 4 years to end up meeting someone like that, once you give up that opportunity, once that time is gone, it's gone. You can't get that time back. There's people from high school that it would be impossible for me to reach now because I either don't know how to contact them or it's way too late now. And I'm telling you, it's incredibly important to build social connections with people. Social connections are how humans operate. As a human, you are a social creature. Humans survived, your ancestors survived because they interacted socially with other people. So if you give up that opportunity, you're wasting your teens. Your teens are one of the times in your life when you have the most opportunity for social growth. I think it's pretty rare for me to hear about full-grown adults in their 30s and 40s and 50s and stuff to be making new friends. And while it can happen, the best time for it to happen is when you're young, because that's when you're meeting the most people your age. You're meeting people with, mixed interests that could align with yours, or personalities that could align with yours. And that's critically important, honestly. Next thing I want to address is athletics and fitness. Now, you probably know me as the YouTube guy who works out. He's the YouTube guy, Greg, GZ, the fitness guy. He lifts a lot, right? What if I had told you that that in high school, or at least early in high school, I had zero interest in pursuing any sort of fitness or sport. The one reason why I ended up playing a sport or getting into fitness at any point, even though I was athletic my whole life, let me not get this wrong. I've been athletic my whole life. I was always an active kid. I loved running, Anyone who knew me in high school knew that my strong suit was like sprinting or whatever. But I at no point pursued any sort of organized sport. Although I was athletic, I didn't seek out reasons to express that athleticism. All I cared about was video games at first. Like, you couldn't convince me that playing a sport was better than sitting at home for 5 hours playing video games. Like, you couldn't convince me of it. The only reason that I got into athletics, and the first athletic sport I ever took somewhat seriously was baseball, is because of Carlos. Had I not met Carlos and him convince me to, at least try playing baseball, who knows how much the fabric of those years could have been changed. Now, although I was convinced to take that sport like somewhat seriously, I still didn't have any sort of athletic work ethic that it took to improve. So for that reason, I ended up not really being that good at baseball in high school. And unfortunately, one of the comments that I get the most now by either people from my neighborhood or some of my friends or, other people, just other random people is, bro, did you play football? You play football, bro? Have you ever tried playing football? And I just think back and cringe that had I at the age of 14 taken seriously the idea of playing a sport seriously like football, and had these genetics to build muscle, and anyone who knows me knows that my leg genetics are like absolutely massive. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna stand on this chair real quick. I just think back and cringe because, like, my legs look like that. I could have been a running back or something for my high school's football team. But I completely squandered that opportunity by being like, it's probably not for me. It even got to the point where my high school, their football program was severely lacking. They needed players badly, right? I think at some point when I was in 10th grade, if you're not from America, 10th grade is basically when you're 15 or 16. When I was in 10th grade, they were coming to classrooms saying, the football program needs more people. If you would like to join, feel free to sign up. Just take this slip. And guess what? I didn't take the slip. I did not take the opportunity to play football, and that opportunity was lost. Years later now, I regret not doing it because who knows? I've never actually played football before, but who knows if I could have been good at it? Who knows if it was the sport I fell in love with and pursued and played in college or something like that. So, just like a crazy storyline, but I'll never get to know if it ended up being true. On top of that, having, on top of, finding out if you're going to become a professional at a sport or something crazy like that, the simple fact of doing something athletic in high school, I would say it does not to three things for you. It does three things for you. The first thing, you become more athletic. You're more fit. You're more fit. You're stronger than other people. You build more confidence in your body. And the second part would be the social, I guess the social improvements that come with being more fit. People would rather people are more visually appealed to or attracted by a more fit person. If you're more fit, people take notice of that. If you're not that, if you work out, think about those first few comments that you got, the first year that you started working out. People that, saw you before you worked out and saw you after and were like, wow, that's so impressive that you were able to change like that. I wish I could do that. That's the social aspect. Now imagine doing that. Now I can only imagine doing that at a much younger age. I only ended up doing my body transformation after high school. So most of the comments that I got a lot of the comments that I got were from former classmates, but I can only imagine the social ramifications it would have had if I ended up getting jacked during high school. That would have been, I can only guess that would have been a trip. The third part is your self-confidence that comes as a result of both of those previous factors. As a more athletic person, as a more social person, you end up building confidence in yourself. You build up confidence in your body. You build a body that you're proud of. And body dysmorphia and stuff aside, that can be a factor that plays a role that brings down your confidence. But I have to say, I am way more confident in my body now than I was during high school. I was always used to be called athletic, but I was always skinny. I was always like weak and frail. And I would definitely say that if you don't want to waste your teens, pick up some sort of fitness hobby, some sort of athletic hobby, play a sport. Especially I would recommend playing a team sport if you can. If you can play a team sport, what does that combine? That combines, one, being athletic, which means getting better at a sport. Two, working out if you choose to work out while playing that sport, which will make you better at that sport. And three, you have teammates that you can be social with. You build a social circle around that team, which overall is only going to benefit you. You just got three benefits out of making one decision. Now you see why I look back and cringe when I think of why I decided I'm never going to play football. I was potentially missing out on three major life benefits that I could have gotten. How else can you not waste your teens? Let me think. What else do I look back and cringe at when I was in high school? Oh yeah, this just another part is just don't center your interest on one thing. Just like I mentioned about, fitness. Believe it or not, if you're addicted to video games, well, I know all the video game addicts. We're 14 minutes into the video. All the video game addicts are gone. They're not watching anymore. But if you're a video game addict who somehow left this video still running, believe me, there is more to your life than video games. There is more to your life than video games. There are more things in life than just video games and watching YouTube. Trust me, bro. You honestly will get so much more out of life if you decide, like, yo, playing video games for 6 hours is fun. I get it. When you're playing video games for 6 hours, it's fun. It's all I did during high school. This is why this is why I am qualified to say to you that it's not bringing you much. This is coming from the guy that, played the video games in high school and, got jacked after and started working out. One is way better than the other, and it's not video games. When you're addicted to video games in high school, you almost have this psychotic, addiction mentality that, and you bring up every single coping statistic that you can. You're like, oh, video games actually aren't addictive. They're not technically addictive because technically this. And also, people make millions of dollars playing video games. I could become a millionaire. I could go pro. I could go pro at playing video games. Don't you understand, Mom? I used all of these tactics to try and convince my mom that playing video games is good for me. I was coping. Yes, people make millions of dollars playing video games, but guess what? They do that by being entertaining. They do that by waking up and recording for hours every day, by waking up and streaming for hours every day. And if you're not doing that, you're not going to become one of those people. On top of that, when you're addicted to video games, you ignore a lot of the other beneficial parts in life. I missed out on so many social interactions or interactions to bond with my friends, opportunities to, go outside and do something with them, go outside, play some basketball with them even. Those opportunities to bond with other people that you can do in real life rather than in a PlayStation party are honestly, you can't compare the two. Yes, you can have some laughs in a PlayStation party, but it is completely different than going outside to a restaurant. Forget going outside to a restaurant with someone you like. Going outside with your friends and just chatting it up, playing some basketball. I mean, that's memories that you just can't replace. Honestly, the next thing I feel like I need to mention is expanding your knowledge outside of what you just learned in school. Because you probably don't really care that much about what you're learning in school if you're in high school. So what you should be doing with a lot of that free time that you're freeing up by not playing as many video games is reading. You look back over here at all the stuff I have a bunch of books. Now, everyone knows, when you're in high school, you hate reading, right? Don't you hate reading? I hate reading too. I hate reading when my teacher tells me, read chapter 3 to chapter 8 of this book. And I think this is one of the biggest blunders that everyone makes in high school. It's a self blunder. I don't really know how to describe it. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Most guys, at least, the majority of guys that you ask, go to a high school and ask all the dudes how many of them like reading. Maybe 5% of them will say yes. Everyone else will be like, no, I hate reading, bro. I hate reading, honestly, because, school, they make us read so much. Honestly, it's so boring. It sucks, bro. I hate reading. And when you tell yourself, I hate reading, I hate reading, I hate reading, every single day that you hate reading, you're going to miss out on probably some of the most valuable knowledge that the world has to offer. People like Hamza and other self-improvement YouTubers have built literal empires based on what they've learned in books. I myself really enjoy books like The Millionaire Fastlane and Deep Work as well, because they kind of expand your view on what other people were able to achieve and what you can possibly do to improve upon yourself. And I know that sounds pretty vague. That was probably the worst pitch I could give you to why you should want to read a book. Because why would you want to read a book rather than play video games for 3 hours? One is fun and the other is boring, right? Which is why I recommend that if you do want to start learning, if you do want to learn how to read, and I'm saying learn how to read on purpose because you don't know how to read. Like, it's actually kind of embarrassing that you don't know how to read. Like, yes, you can read words on a page, but you don't know how to read a book. The last time you probably read a book was maybe in 3rd grade or something. Since you don't know how to read, I'd recommend, starting off with an audiobook, maybe before bed every day. 30 minutes of an audiobook, and really start to listen to what that book is saying. I'd recommend starting off with The Richest Man in Babylon audiobook, because that was the first book I actually read that was like self-improvement or finance related. And that book is what set off all of this, in a way. When I started to learn that, there's more to life than just the everyday stuff that you do, that's pretty much getting you nowhere. Like, there's people in history that have achieved a lot, and those people that achieved a lot, their success was documented by another person, and that other person is sharing the knowledge with you. It's so incredibly life-changing. I can't speak to how incredibly important reading is. So that's why, like, I really highly doubt anyone after watching this video is gonna go and read a book. But honestly, if you wanna achieve any sort of success, this is for the few people out there who want to be like entrepreneurs and stuff. If you want to achieve any sort of success in being an entrepreneur, whether that's e-commerce, starting up your own business, you need to read. You need to read books. And if you are really dead set on being good in e-commerce, building up some sort of, social media, some marketing, any sort of things related to social media or e-commerce, or building a business in general and making money, if you want to make money, I'm going to show you right now what you need. 1 and 2. The Millionaire Fast Lane, 4-Hour Work Week. You get these two and actually commit yourself to starting to read them. I guarantee you that the way you look at the world is going to be completely different. And if you want something that's not really as related to, business and stuff, something that's just more general self-improvement, what you should do with your life, I really highly recommend Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. That's honestly in itself just a life-changing book that's about perseverance and pushing through when things are really difficult. If you start reading during your teens, you're going to be ahead of the curve of everyone else. Because while everyone else discovers that they probably should have been reading maybe when they're at like the age of 25, after they're done with college and high school and all of that stuff, if you already started reading by the time you were 15, everyone else is 25 when they started realizing that, you're 10 years ahead of everyone else. I hope you understand that. You will be 10 years ahead of everyone else. If you're 16 and, people at the age of 26 are starting to get on their feet and understand, like, yo, I probably should have read this like 5 years ago. You are 10 years ahead of everyone else mentally when it comes to these topics. There's really no excuse to not read at least one book that suits your interest. And I mean that. The fact that I've gone this long, ranted this long about reading should probably tell you why you should start reading. And I think I'll save this one now, for last. Not wasting your teens, talk to girls you like. Talk to girls that you like, man. honestly. And if you're a girl, talk to a guy that you like. I can't speak on that much because, I wouldn't know. But like I said earlier, when it comes to, building your social circle, finding those friends that are incredibly life-changing down the line, if you're a guy in high school or like in your teens in general, you just started college, especially for guys that just started college, you know, let's say, yeah, this is the best example I can give. You just started college, maybe you're 18, 17, 18, 19. All the drama relationships of high school are over. And now you're just stuck in the cycle of, wake up, go to school, do your assignments, and call it a day. There are so many people your age that you could possibly be talking to that are girls, and you're completely skipping over that. If you are genuinely interested in relationships, or at least, building friendships, which I would recommend, you can't do that without talking to girls that you're into. If you want to be into, the dating scene, the dating game, how does that start? By talking to a girl that you're into. How do you do that? Everyone says that, you just get too nervous. You have like this crush on someone that you're into, and you look at them and you're like, oh my God, I can't get over this. I can't get this out of my head. How do I start? She's gonna reject me. It's not gonna work. Why does it feel this difficult to just be into someone? And it's difficult because it's a wild just crazy storm going on in your brain about you not knowing what to say, but you're really into her. She's hot. So what do? The answer is learn how to build charisma and confidence in social situations. I think I mentioned this in I think I called it the Teenager's Guide to Self-Improvement. Building social confidence and charisma is likely one of the most important human, how do I say this? Universal. It is the most universal skill that will benefit you no matter the situation. If you're charismatic and confident, it doesn't matter what situation you're in. If there's another person, you'll benefit from being charismatic and confident. Having charisma and confidence is not about showing yourself up to make yourself seem like a great person, bragging off to other people. It's actually kind of the opposite. If you want to be charismatic and confident when you're approaching someone else, the entire point is to make them feel important. And because they feel important and listened to and, acknowledged, and their interests are taken seriously when you're speaking to them, what do they associate that with? They associate the fact that they felt good while talking to you with you. Now, on the flip side, if you're talking to a guy that only goes on about how great he is and how much he lifts and wow, I could have scored more points that game, but I just wasn't feeling it, or I'm really into anime and I really love this anime. And did you see that part in this anime where the guy does this and then he does this? And there's this show that I'm really into. All he's doing is talk about himself and his own interests. Nobody cares. And there's a very good chance that that's what you sound like when you're in a conversation with someone. You disregard what they say almost entirely, and you only focus on what you want to say and your interests and the things that you have in mind. This is something that I've been working on probably for the past maybe a year, and I haven't been that good at it, but I have seen a big change. It's one of the first techniques that they mention in How to Win Friends and Influence People. I can say without a doubt The conversations where I even just like seem interested in what someone's talking about, and have a rapport about what their interest is, their face lights up, because people are not used to having their interests cared about. Because guess what? People only want to hear about themselves and how great they are. So if you take advantage of this trick, which I wouldn't really call it a trick, but if you take advantage of this concept and make a person that you're talking to feel listened to and intrigued with what you're saying, you can pretty much excel in any sort of conversation. Now, how does this relate to your crush that you want to talk to? Easy. If I know the first step is the hardest. If you haven't already introduced yourself to them, make that happen. I know it's difficult to say that, but you just have to make it happen somehow. If it's someone that you've been around for a long time and you still haven't introduced yourself to them, that's going to be more difficult. That's something I really wouldn't know how to explain. But let's say it's the first week of classes at college. Your job, and if this is your situation, your job is to, at the beginning of class, before class starts even, I would say preferably before class starts, not after. Before class starts, just say, "Hi, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is," and you say, "Hi, my name is Greg. I'd like to introduce myself. We're both in this class, right? This and this class. Sorry about that, guys. I just had a massive brain fart. What I was going to say is, you introduce yourself like, "Hi," to whoever it is that you want to really get to know. Say, "Hi, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Greg," or whatever your name is. And you say, "How are you doing?" And that is the ultimate way in. You say, "How are you doing?" And if you want to take this even a step further, if you have time, let's say after the class, which you absolutely do have time. There's no schedule that limits you to not, your schedule is not too tight to where you don't have a minute to talk to someone after class. And this is a very easy situation to do this. It's after class, and you've already introduced yourself to that person, they already know your name. Hopefully you've remembered their name. So this gives you the opportunity to, speak to them after class, mention, "Hey, just wanted to make sure, like, oh, did you like get the homework or something?" Something simple or stupid like that, or anything related to that class. And you just you try to figure out almost if their schedule is available for you guys to hang out outside of class. Something simple as this. "Hey, by the way, I'm just gonna go grab a bite to eat." You'd be like, "Hey, by the way, I'm just gonna go grab a bite to eat to this and this place. It's really cool. You can join me if you want to check it out." And guess what? There's gonna be situations where they say no because their schedule doesn't make it possible. They're gonna say no because they're just outright rejecting you. And there's also gonna be a situation where they say yes. Right? If they do end up rejecting you, you can take this final option, which is, "It was nice, it was cool meeting you, and I hope we can hang out sometime. Do you mind if I give you my number?" And here you'll have two situations where you either give them your number or they really don't want to hang out with you, and that's the end of it. I'm making it sound more complicated than it is because I don't have a physical person, to talk to. But out of the situations that I've been in, which are few, but they're more than I'd say the average person who does not leave their house. Out of the situations I've been in, this is where you can really get somewhere with someone who you're into. And guess what? If it doesn't work, great. It's actually good if it doesn't work out. You want to know why? Because guess what? All that time that you were spending, absolutely losing your mind about, does this person like me? Does she like me? And, years down the line, months down the line, you'd think to yourself, wow, I really wonder what could have been if I would have just talked to her. Well, like maybe a few months later, you see that the girl that you had a crush on, oh, she's dating a dude now. How crushing is that compared to finding out yourself if you could have been that guy? And it's not her fault. You just never made yourself known. You never made yourself available. So the onus is on you. Remember, that first hardest part is just, hi, my name is, what's your name? Or how are you doing? That was the hardest part. And if you can get over that part, you will literally be able to interact with hundreds of people, and you're going to get plenty of rejections. Most of them will be rejections, when you first start out, depending on like your percentages and whatever. But all that means is that you're developing thicker skin to be able to, be okay with those rejections. And, when you get rejected, never seem like you're hurt by a rejection. It might, if it was someone that you were really into, and, it kind of sucks that they aren't really that into you, that's all right. As long as you don't invest so much mental real estate to that person, you'll be perfectly fine. Don't plan yourself to be, oh, I'm gonna end up marrying her after high school. Why is that your plan? Your plan should just be, oh, I just want to talk with her a little bit. See if she's a person I would even be into. And when you invest only that little part, your heart isn't broken when they tell you, oh, sorry, I'm not interested. It's not that much of a big deal. I know it sounds kind of like I'm rambling, but I hope this made sense to at least one person who's like had this problem dealing with like crushes or people that they're into, especially guys who are just starting out in college, who really don't know what to do. Let's say you're on a huge campus. I personally have gone to a college with a huge campus with thousands of people and never felt more lonely because, these are thousands of people, but they're not talking to you. So you have to be the person that makes that first step to go out of your way to speak to someone. And it doesn't have to be someone in your class. Even better if it's not someone in your class, because then if it doesn't work out, you don't really have to see them again. It's kind of like a mean way to look at it, but it is the honest truth. So honestly, I really can't think of that much else that I could have done differently in my teens, other than invest like $1,000 into Doge or Bitcoin or something like that before it exploded. But we all wish we did that. So anyways, thank you for watching. Remember, winners win, losers lose. Go be a winner today. And I am sorry about those pauses sometime earlier this video. I hope they don't bother you too much. Take care.